The reason why in America almost 15% of the people who start dental school don't graduate successfully is maybe because they didn't knew about these key facts that you should know before enrolling. There are 8 key facts that are right here. Wait, you can't see these. You know what? That also happened to me before my studies. But once you know them, you can prepare yourself even better for dental school. To actually finish your dental studies, yes, you need to be motivated, and yes, you need to love the field of medicine, and you need to have fine motor skills. But there is something that is even more important that a lot of people overlook. Salute and welcome to Romaniac. My name is David. I'm right now a 4th year dental student here in Romania. And today I will tell you my 8 facts that you should know before entering dental school. So let's get into it. The first point is that the studies are actually not as hard as some people make them seem. It's the same like when you went to primary school and the people who did their A-levels were saying that it's incredibly hard. I know that some people are telling horror stories of their dental studies, how hard the exams are and how incredibly hard it is to pass the practical exams. It's not easy, definitely not. But in the end, you should not be afraid before you start studying. Dentistry is no rocket science where just a specific group of people are really intelligent enough to graduate. But it took me quite a while to realize that I'm revising enough. Yeah, I always was afraid to fail and that I will maybe be a bad doctor after my studies. But you should not be afraid. Just learn what you are taught, attend to all the practical courses, try to get as much time as possible with the patient, and that will be enough. So let's move to the next fact, that is that some languages can save you time and tears. That's for example Latin, of course, for medicine, or the Roman languages. So don't get me wrong, back then in Germany you had to do the so-called Latinum, that was a language certificate that you need to do to study medicine, to even get accepted. Nowadays you don't need that. But in my opinion, it can be pretty frustrating if you never had any contact with the Latin language or with other languages in that direction, and you start studying and every single word that you are learning, and for example anatomy, is completely new. So you really have to memorize every day so many new words, and it is definitely easier if you had some experience before. So if you are right now still in school, or you are, let's say, really in the beginning of your high school career and you can still choose what you want to go into, I can highly recommend to either choose Latin if you can choose it, or go for a Roman language. Another thing that is also related to the language is the fact that if you study abroad, like for example in English, like I do, that you try to learn in that language. I knew some people who haven't done that and they translated everything to their mother tongue and then retranslated it in the exam. Yes, of course the revision was a bit easier for them in the beginning compared to other people like me. In the end, I realized that after quite some time that that's the better way to directly study and revise in that language. So my first 2 semesters were much harder because I had to learn so much English next to just studying, but after that I just learned all the vocabulary and it's much easier. So the next fact I want to talk about is that some things you can't just learn or just with a lot of effort. And that is related to the fact that as dentists, we work with our hands. And you should bring a certain level of skill to succeed in your dental studies, or to just become a good dentist. So you should know before if that will be a problem or not. And if you realize in the first year that that's a problem, you should practice a lot, because that's the main importance of this field. But what you don't need fine motor skills for is moving that mouse and clicking that like button, or subscribe to our channel if you want to see further content. We will upload every Wednesday, and in the future we will also go into a more creative direction and show you more around in Romania. So the next fact I want to talk about is that you should improve your character before starting dentistry. And yeah, everyone is now talking, yeah, that's what we try to do all the time. Yes, and that should be the goal of each one of us. But what I actually mean by that are our soft skills, because they are very important as a dentist. Just to give you some examples, it's the empathy, it's the communication, which is important, taking responsibility, and loads of others that you can just see here now. These definitely help you to become a good dentist and will also help you during your dental studies. Of course, in general, soft skills help every person out there, but especially for dentists, because it's a different kind of job. Like, people are doubting you right from the beginning. Like, we all know that it's said about dentists, they just want your money and then they will just do a treatment that is not the one that you normally should have just for the money and stuff like that. So your soft skills need to be top notch. You should know how to communicate to people. You should have empathy, that you realize when people are afraid of the treatment or even of yourself. So these are definitely things that will help you out even already in the studies when you start treating your first patients. So let's go to the next point, and to start this point, I want to tell you a story. I once met a dentist, and by that time I was still searching for a place to study, and I told him about that, and he was asking me, why do you want to study dentistry? And I told him my reasons for it, and he was just telling me like, yeah, don't do it. Like, and I was like shocked. I was like, why? Like, you're a dentist yourself. And he said it's a very nice profession, but on the other hand, you have to be there and you can't earn passive. And that's a very big factor of those kind of jobs. You can't really go to vacation and write some emails, do some calls, and still run your company in the end. That is definitely not possible. So if you want to earn money, you have to sit in the chair and treat the patient. And that's something you should know before you start your studies. If you are someone who's aiming for that, dentistry is not for you. Or what is of course also possible, that you do it parallel. So you have your dental work and next to it you have some other business. Another fact that I just realized over time, that you have more responsibility than the one you expected before. So it's not just a patient where you do some small fillings and other stuff. Like, you can really kill that person in your chair if you treat the person wrong. So you should be careful in what you're doing. You should be careful and listen up when it's about certain subjects in school, so you know what is happening and how to react in certain situations. And next to those emergency cases, I'm also talking about the fact that people are relying on you. So they will spend quite a lot of money in some cases, and of course they want a good outcome as well. So you can imagine what kind of pressure builds up on you. The next thing I want to talk about is that you need to be fit, mentally and physically. So just imagine, you have to sit in a good posture, your whole body is under tension like the whole working day, and you have to work in a very small field, and also your vision is limited. And in the beginning, especially as a student, instead of using the mirror, you start doing shit like that, and you are bending over to look in the patient's mouth, especially when you work on the upper teeth. I don't say that you have to go to the gym every day and this kind of stuff, no, but you should be in a relatively normal to good shape. This will definitely help you out, especially after your studies. When you're also a bit older, people always start to have back problems. When I talk about the mental strength that you should have, I mean actually, like I said before, that you have a lot of pressure on you when it's about the treatments, and you should just be able to cope with that. And that leads us to the last fact, which is a bit sad. Dentistry has one of the highest suicide rates when you compare all the professions. So you should know that before. Of course, I'm not saying that a lot of people have those problems and also the rate is very low, but it's just to mention. Of course, you can have the comparison to other professions in which that is not happening so often, and of course there is a reason for it. So in general, you should always take care of your mental health and you will be fine. So after talking about all those facts, I want to say that dentistry is still a very, very nice profession. And if after those facts you are still convinced that you want to study this subject, then go for it. It's definitely worth it. But I just wanted to state them out, that afterwards you will not be shocked or maybe quit studying. And I think also that some of those things can be prevented before even starting to study. And if you also want to study dentistry or medicine but you don't know how to get a place, just have a look in the description box down below and we can help you find your place to study dentistry or medicine. Click that like button if you enjoyed the content and consider subscribing. See you next Wednesday. La revedere and ciao!